Hi everyone. So we're starting our webinar in a couple of seconds, and we are still waiting some participants to join us, but we're starting on time in general. So I'm really happy to see all of you today at the webinar, and we're going to discuss the future trends in career development, the trends in education, and I hope that we're going to have an interesting discussion on those questions. So to start with, I would like first of all to present myself. My name is Nadia Kort, and I'm the General Manager of International Laboratory for Experimental Urban Design in the High School of Economics in Moscow. So I'm also curator of the International Master Program Prototyping Future Cities here in Moscow in the High School of Economics, and I'm teaching a course, Readings on Urbanity, at this master program. So just to clarify, if you hear me and see me, can you put plus, okay, something in the chat, just for me to be sure that you can hear me well and see me well. So guys, please, if you hear me and see me, please put something in the chat. Okay, Ilya, thank you. Thank you, Teddy. Okay, so, okay, great. So, as I told already, I'm curating the master program in the High School of Economics and leading the Laboratory for Experimental Urban Design. So this is the website of the university. And in case you have some questions and interests, what is going on in the HEC, you can visit the website. For the moment, HEC is one of the biggest universities in Russia in terms of the students. At the moment, we have more than 40,000 students in 4 different campuses in Moscow, where our laboratory and our program is located in St. Petersburg, in Nizhny Novgorod, and in Perm. More than 7,000 lecturers and researchers are involved in the educational and research programs of the university, and for the moment, we have already more than 70,000 graduates. So the program that I'm working on and the program that I'm going to talk today a little bit, and actually my experience of career development and my experience of skills development comes from the working for this master program. And this is the website that you can visit in case you will be interested to apply or to learn more about the program. So that was a kind of introductory part about myself, and now I would like to know more a little bit about you, because depending on this, we're going to continue our discussion, and I will try to adjust to your interests in my speech. And that's why I propose that you answer these 3 simple questions in the chat section. So what is your current specialization, your name, of course, where are you from, and why are you participating in today's webinar? What are you expecting to learn today or maybe to discuss today? So depending on this, I will try to adjust my speech and my presentation, okay? I will give you like 1 minute to answer this question. I don't expect that you are going to write the whole huge speech, but maybe you can just say a couple of words about yourself and what you expect from the webinar. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute for this. Hello, Pawan from India. Thank you for joining. Hi. So, Pawan, maybe you can also mention why you participate in the webinar, what you expect to learn today from the webinar. Hello, David Antonio. Nice to meet you. So where are you coming from, and what you expect from the webinar today? So please share with me and with everyone. Okay, so we are having Moonhor from Malaysia. specialization in environmental tech and want to see how tech can be integrated in the future cities. Okay, thank you. We have Indri and Joel from Mumbai and currently pursuing MBA in Human Resources. Nice to meet you. Thank you for sharing. So for the Shum from Malaysia, I would like to mention that we are not going to discuss a lot today the integration of technologies to cities, because today's webinar is dedicated to future career development, but we will share with you later after the webinar our previous webinars and our previous materials that actually have answers to your questions. Okay, Teddy from Kenya, Urban Planning and Design. I'm interested in how we can empower students and prepare them for the future. Great. Ilya, Russian student, want to learn more about career and sphere of urban development. Great. So thank you a lot. Guys, please continue typing, just not to waste time. I'm going to continue the presentation, but you can put what you expect. I will read them in the breaks that we will have. So our today webinar is more connected with the future skills and future careers. I will slightly touch the topic of which skills we should integrate into urban planning and urban design of the future, because this is not the focus of today's webinar, but I will try, as you're interested in this, I will try to touch this. So my first question, rhetoric question, I would say, would be, what we will learn in the future, yeah, how the skills are changing that we should acquire from the education, and which new skills are appearing in the education. So as you know, during the last 100 years we were living in so-called industrial world, Western industrial world. It means that the education as well were kind of attached to the industry, and that's why we had mostly professions and skills and professional and career development that were helping to develop the heavy industry, I would say. And the skill model of the 20th century, of the last century, of the industrial century, looked like this. In the core of the skills that we were taught in the schools and in the universities, we had hard skills, and mostly these were connected with technological, but old-fashioned technological, I would say, technical skills. Yeah, how to work at some fabric, how to produce a specific product, how to work at the assembly line, yeah. And already later, maybe even at work, we were taught and we started to learn soft skills, yeah. So if you are a little bit, if you were born like before 90s, you may still remember this model, and maybe even in your country and in your city, in the schools and in the universities, this model is still used, yeah, because in the core of this model are those hard skills, like how to assemble something, how to work with the machines, and how actually to help the industry, help to fabrics to produce the goods and to produce the products. And only later we were taught the soft skills, yeah. But the thing is that the world is changing, and you know that many events are happening, and many events, unpredictable events, are happening, connected not only with the terrorism but also with the climate change, with the technological immersion. So there is this concept that is called VUCA World, and the VUCA is the abbreviation which means the volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous world. It means that actually we cannot now, the same as 100 years ago we were able to predict a little bit the future, because the world was more or less stable. For the moment, it's almost impossible. That's why we should develop ourselves, we should develop our careers, and we should develop our educational track according to this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, right? How to do this? This is the question of today's webinar. And according to this new world, the skill model is changing. So the skill model of the 21st century looks more or less like this, that in the center of this model we have meta skills. I will explain you later what does it mean. But in general, this is the skills, how you perceive yourself, how you can represent yourself to the world, how you can think about yourself and about your own development. In the previous skill model, someone was responsible for your life, because you were coming to, I don't know, some industry to work, and everything was already organized for you to work there and to develop your career. Now, very often we meet with the situation where the world around us is not organized according to all the changes that are happening. That's why the meta skills are in the center, because only you now are responsible for those changes and how you go along with those changes in your own life. The next layer of the model is the cross-contextual skills. It means that it's quite important nowadays to mix the professional skills and not only professional skills, to mix the disciplines and to mix the knowledge. For the moment, it's already not enough at all to be a super professional at only one field, because for sure you will be working with the professionals, with the people from different environments, from different cultures, from different professional backgrounds, and you should have the common language with them. It means that you should understand what they're talking about, what is their culture. That's why those cross-contextual skills become very, very important. And the last layer of this model are the contextual and professional skills, and this is more or less clear. This is actually which knowledge and which skills you use in your daily professional routines, only in the last moment. What means this model actually for us, for ordinary people? It means that the education is changing according to this model. In the past century, in the center of our education, we had so-called hard skills. It means that the most important part of our education was to learn specific techniques, how to work and to do your job. And now it's not enough already, because the world is changing quite fast. That's why in the core of good educational programs and a good educational environment, we put meta skills, and we try to develop in people not only let's say, small set of professional skills, but also the broader understanding about the world, the broader understanding how we learn and how we perceive the world, and how we can develop ourselves in the world in the situation where many things are not clear. And according to all those changes, you should also think about your career, right? Not only about your education, but about your career. And for the moment, the thing that we already know and that we are already experiencing is that in a rapidly changing world, it will be important for a person to understand what he or she wants to do, because if you choose a profession in demand, you will have to constantly relearn. And the thing now is not to choose the profession, but to choose the set of skills that can be applied to different professions, because actually your profession can die in some years and can be replaced by specific technologies. That's why it's important to choose not professions, but sets of skills. That's why you should have a very clear goal setting in your life, and you should take all the responsibility about what you do, what you learn, how you learn, only with yourself. And there are, as experts say, there are no specific professions of the future that need to be taught. It's necessary to change the approach to training, including for professions that seem very clear in the previous ways, and the very approach to learning requires different transformations. So this is an important thing to understand, because it influences how you learn and what you learn. And actually, there are a lot of research around this topic, how the skill sets are changing, and actually what we should learn in the schools and in the universities. For example, this is a report, one of the reports connected with skills of the future, and on the left of the screen you see these blue and pink and green lines, and you can see a list of skills, abilities and knowledge that will be, according to some research, important in the future. What you can see here: judgment and decision making, active learning, learning strategies, originality, systems. You should understand how system works and how to evaluate those systems. You should have a skill of complex problem solving, of systems analysis, of critical thinking, education and training, so many things that can be applied actually in a very different professions. Yeah, and first of all, this is what you should learn in the core of your educational process, and then this core can be expanded with a professional, more, let's say, specific professional skills that actually can be learned quite fast, because this is a sphere that is changing quite fast now. For example, there is this global skill index research that was done by Coursera. You know, this portal of open online, mass open online courses, and there you can download this report on the website of Coursera, and you can see there the set of skills that will be important according to their research in the future. But I would like to focus your attention on the right part of the screen, because here we see another research that is talking about which skills will be replaced by machines and which skills will be replaced and in which spheres will be replaced in the future. How to read this scheme. All that is blue and green, the things that will be replaced in the future. Everything that is red probably will not be replaced. And as you can see here, in a sphere of management, almost nothing will disappear, because the management means communication between people. It means the use of use of skills of communication, use of your emotional intelligence, and this is something that we cannot replace with the technologies and with the robots. But there are quite big set of skills and quite big part of the jobs that will be for sure replaced by the artificial intelligence, by robots, and by different technologies. Yeah, for example, I don't know if you can see it. Can we replace this or not? Because they cannot see this part. I don't know if it's important, if it's possible. I will try now to move the video of myself. I don't know if you can see the whole screen. Is it okay? Because or some part of the screen is occupied by my picture. No? No? Okay. Sorry. So what you can see here, you can see different sectors like accommodation, food service, agriculture, transportation, I don't know, education, management, and you can see the different different set of skills and whether they will be replaced or not. For example, you can see that predictable physical work almost in every sector will be replaced by robots and by machines. Yeah. You can see that data collection will be replaced by robots and by machines. You can see that the expertise and management will not be replaced, and because these spheres are requiring communication between people and different things that robot cannot do for the moment. So this is the spheres that you can where you should develop yourself, and this is maybe the graphic and the diagram that will help you to choose the sphere where you can develop yourself. So, for example, this topic, this slide, what is showing? The slide is showing that artificial intelligence is introduced in many professions nowadays, and for this is, as experts say and as research say, this is one of the skills that for the moment to learn and to know is very important, because in the near future many professions and many jobs will appear that will be connected with the use of artificial intelligence. So for the moment, as experts say, this is one of the fields where you can develop yourself and where you should put your efforts. Okay, so we are more or less covered with what we will learn. So put something in the chat like okay or something, if you hear me still, and if you see me well, because the webinar is the format where it's not clear if we are still in contact or not. Okay, thanks a lot. And now we are moving to the second part. So now we'll know what we will learn, that we have these meta skills, that we have this kind of jobs and skills that will be replaced by machines and skills that will be not replaced by the machines. We know that the skill model has changed, that we moved from the learning very professional skills to learning meta skills, yeah, but actually how we will learn, this is a different question. So the main thing is that the answer about how we will learn is within us, yeah, within our brain and within our possibilities and our own understanding of the world, but not outside. So in the modern world, we cannot more rely on teachers, we cannot more rely completely on experts, because the information is changing so fast and the amount of information is growing so fast that for the moment there are no teachers who know everything and no experts who know everything, as it used to be only like 50 years ago. Yeah, the situation has changed completely. That's why we should first of all think and reflect about how we teach, how we learn, and apply our own abilities to outside, but not to look the answers outside of the brain. And there is one interesting thing, maybe you know about this, it's called neuroplasticity, and this is the ability of our brain to change continuously throughout our life. It means that we can learn during all the life, not only in a school or in the university, but our brains, and this is actually quite new invention, because only 50 years ago scientists thought that the brain is developing only till specific moment in time when we are young, and the old people, the brain of old people is not developing more. But now there are inventions and the science go beyond, and the scientists say that we can learn during all our life, and we should develop our brain to stay in contact with reality during all our life, and neuroplasticity is the answer to this question. There are two main parts of the brains that actually are in the focus of our interest today and our lecture, because these two parts of the brain is mostly connected with learning. This is a prefrontal cortex. It's somewhere here is located, yeah, and hippocampus, which is located inside of our brain, and it's responsible for our personality, and prefrontal cortex, which is located for long-term memory, yeah. And these two parts of our brains actually participate a lot in the process of education. And how to, sorry, I will go back for the moment. And actually, if we are not developing these two parts of the brains, if we are not using the neurons which connect these parts of the brains, we, from the moment to moment, can learn less and less. And the situation with the older people is not that their brain, something wrong with their brain, but the thing is that they are not developing their brain. But how to develop the brain and how to stay in this active situation, there is an interesting scientist. Her name is Wendy Suzuki, and I recommend you to watch her video on TED Woman in 2017. The video is called "The Brain Changing Benefits of Exercise." You can find this video in internet, and she also has a book which is called something like "The Strange Girl Who Likes the Brain," and she is a neuroscientist, and actually during a long period of time she was developing her research in New York University, but lately she understood that there are specific things that influence the development of those two parts of the brain a lot, and this is the list of those two things. So this is sport, and specifically aerobic sport, and actually she says that jogging, for example, or dances or different kind of aerobic activities influence the development of the brain and influence the neuroplasticity a lot. So it's not just making sport, it's not just keep fit and beautiful and to have a beautiful and fit body, but it's also about your brain. And without making sport, and specifically aerobic sport, your brain gets worse. This is the thing. And she actually has the whole experiments about this. That's why actually this is one of the reasons why the brain of older people working less, because the older people move less and they already do not do as much sport as they were younger, and all the rest. So The next thing is that what she actually understood is that the new tastes and smells influence a lot hippocampus and influence a lot this part of the brain which is responsible for the long-term memory. So to eat good food and to have the different smells around you and different, let's say, different food, it's not only about good living, but it also influences the neuroplasticity. The same thing with the new visual experience. Going to the museums and watching new interesting movies, new interesting images. It's not only about having a beautiful life, but it's also about developing your neuroplasticity and ability to learn. And the same with the new music. When you try to listen to the music, to the style of the music that maybe you don't like, but when you try to understand it and try to listen to it, you also develop your neuroplasticity. So this is kind of 4 tips on how to stay alive and how to develop your brain. And I recommend to watch this video, and I recommend also to read her book, which is quite interesting. There are actually 3 main parts of the brain which is responsible for our everyday decisions, and they participate a lot in the learning process. There is the prefrontal cortex, again, this is something here, the limbic and the reptilian brain, which are more inside of our brain. And as you see on the slide, prefrontal cortex is responsible for cognition and intelligence, the limbic system for emotions and feelings, and the reptilian brain is responsible for instincts and survival, as you can see. And the interesting question is, and I would like you to answer this question now in the chat. So the question is, how do you think, which percentage of your everyday decisions are taken with use of each of these 3 brain systems? What, for example, how many % of your everyday decisions you take based on cognition and intellect? How many % of your decisions you take based on emotions and feelings? And how many decisions you take based on instincts, based on reptilian brain? So think for 1 minute and put in the chat, how do you think? So how much you use in your everyday life, I would say, how much you use in your everyday life prefrontal cortex, how much you use the limbic system, and how much you use the reptilian brain, yeah? So let's say, for example, that from 100%, I don't know, 50% of decisions are taken with cognition and intellect, I don't know, 25 with emotions and feelings, and 25 with instincts. So how do you think? Share just with your experience in the chat. Okay. So Alessia says that she thinks that 40% is taken by limbic system, 30% by instincts, and 30% by the intellect. Okay. Ilya thinks that the biggest part is for reptilian brain, about 70%. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. David says that 50 goes for cognition, 30 for emotions, and 20 for instincts. Cognition and intellect 60, emotions 30, instincts 10. Okay, 5. Victoria says 5 for cognition and intellect, 60 for emotions and feelings, 35 for instincts. Interesting. Well, let's see who was right. Actually, 95% of everyday decisions in our life are taken in limbic system and in reptilian mind. It means that 95% of decisions and things you do on base of emotions and instincts. And this is a nice thing to think about, because only 5% of the things that you are doing based on cognition and based on your intellect. Yeah, you are mostly using emotions and you are mostly using instincts. And this is realized, and this is connected with all spheres of our life, of course, but it's also connected with the education, because just think about it. If only 5% you use of your cognition you use for everyday decisions, and all the rest for is used the limbic system and reptilian mind, how we learn then? I mean, how we should learn and how we should organize our educational environment in this situation. And the answer is that, and this is that all the scientists, modern scientists say, that first of all, the learning process should be pleasant and should be connected with the nice emotions, with the good emotions and with the good feelings. Because only if you can organize your educational environment that will be connected with nice emotions and good feelings, only then you will have the best results in your education. Yeah. And now another question to you. So just think about it and then try to use, when you organize your everyday activities and everyday educational process, think about what makes education pleasant for you. So just remember about the best situation at school, in the kindergarten, in the university, or just in the everyday life, when you felt happy in education. And just think about which activities you did then, who was around you, how was the atmosphere and environment organized around you. And this should be kind of a case how in the future you should organize your education and your educational environment. Yeah. So just think about it. I will not ask you now to answer, because you need to take time to think about this, and you can do it like later after the webinar. Yeah. So actually, I'm almost finishing. We have just few slides left. What I would like to tell you, in our master program, we are trying to develop this approach, let's say evolutionary approach and cognitive regulation approach. So that's why if you're interested about the specific program where I work and the program that we're developing, you can go to the website. We will organize a separate kind of open day for those who are interested to apply later. So you can subscribe to our media. Now I will show you to our social media. So here you can see the website, but what is more important, this is our Instagram and Facebook, Shukhov Lab Facebook and Shukhov Lab Instagram. There we put all the announcements, new interesting information about the projects that we do, and many things. So you can contact us through these two channels, and this will be fastest way to contact us. The same, I have my blog, but this is only for those who speak Russian, and it's connected with education. This is a blog in Instagram, and in case you are interested to ask me some questions, you can go to Instagram and connect with me and contact me. So this is also all the contacts. And in general, I'm finishing right here. We had, I think, nice talk. I hope that it was useful for you. And maybe, of course, this is a very short period of time where we are not able to discuss everything and to have some global conclusion, but at least now I expect that you know where to move and how you can adjust your educational process. So in case you have any questions, you can ask me now in the chat, and I will try to answer you. So guys, I think we have a little bit time left for a small discussion. So please put everything in chat, your maybe what you would like to learn in the future. We will try to organize another webinar about specific program or about what we were discussing today, and I will answer you in a free way. Yeah. So I'm open to your questions. If you don't have question, but you like the webinar, you can just say this in the chat. I will be also happy to hear this, because the format of the webinar is strange. I don't see you, and I don't understand if it was interesting and useful for you or not. So there are some questions. I will try to answer one by one. So the question from Muhammad is, I think family teaching played the vital role for future plans in life, along with respect towards the eldest as well as noble person of the society. What is your opinion? So actually, I agree with you because for the moment, the education, the formal education, I'm talking about the formal education, which is constructed more taking into consideration so-called Western approach of the how university is organized and how the school is organized, it's not connected with the family as well. And of course, there are another cultures, another countries, another parts of the world where the family education play a vital role. And actually, this is a way also how the education can be organized, and this is a good question for a broader discussion. But in general, I agree with you that the family plays still a vital role in many, many cultures. And this is important to think about how maybe we can implement it more in a formal education. Idas, thank you. You're interested and looking forward to new webinars. Thanks a lot. Yes, we will organize webinars on urbanism. You can follow us in Instagram or in Facebook, and we put all the announcement there. So yeah, we will do this. David, thank you. Yeah, let's change ourselves. Ghazi Ben Amor, are you able to make you mean not being, you mean, and I don't know about this. I mean, I know that it exists and I know more or less how it works, but I'm not expert in this. So about NLP, I cannot say something, something relevant, okay? Ariana, thank you. Eric, thanks a lot. Victoria, thanks a lot. Thank you. So guys, thank you everyone. You can contact me personally in my Instagram, or you can contact our program and our laboratory through our laboratory Facebook and Instagram as well. We will be happy to answer all your questions. We will be happy to see you in our events and in our other webinars. So, and also as the students of our master program. Thank you a lot and goodbye. I think I will now